Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Copeland,
Here.
McCain,
Here.
Wertz,
Here.
Hyen,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust,
Here.
Hanfelder,
Here.
Trent.
Here.
Okay. Have now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any public comments?
None have been submitted in advance, but now would be the time for the public to comment if they so choose. Okay,
All right, omnibus agenda. Motion to approve all of those in one motion unless a board member wishes to vote on an item or several items separately.
Motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion, any items, polls or anything? Okay, roll call.
Copeland,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
McCain,
Yes.
Hyen,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Hanfelder,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Action items. Resolution 22-6, 2021 tax levy. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Okay. Any discussion?
I have a question. You know,
Okay.
this is the $8 million that we're going to borrow, isn't that correct?
Mary, can you answer that?
No,
Okay, this resolution is for our annual tax levy.
yeah, not for the 8 million, right?
We are borrowing or we are not borrowing?
This plan, this tax levy includes the nickel that the board determined or considered the financing of a portion of the match that we need for the main complex renovation. So the total amount of the levy does include that action, that planned action.
Well, I'm not so sure I'm ready to go forward with that until we have some indication that we're going to get funding from the state.
Yeah.
That-
So I would say with confidence that we should be planning to get that funding from the state. I'm just careful with how I say that. You know, we just recently finalized the announcement for architecture and engineering with the Capital Development Board this week. And so all indications are that we'll be getting some good news very soon. So this levy, you know, so I think it was last month, Mary, the board voted to continue the nickel tax, and sort of embedded in that is the whole resolution. So, or within the resolution, the sort of borrowing the entire amount is embedded in that, I should say.
Correct, and naming
So
main
yeah,
complex
yeah,
as the project. Yes.
right.
So is the whole nickel, which amounts to about 2.4 million, is that all of that doesn't go to support the principal and interest on the 8 million, does it, Mary? It just, isn't it just a portion of that? Or is it the whole thing?
I think it was just,
The whole amount should be planned in the debt service. We are required to hold back just a little bit in case there's fluctuation in the EAV and the amount of money that we collect. But the 2.4 is for the full nickel. And just that nickel.
But Kevin's asking if the 2.4, all of that 2.4 would be contributing to that 12.25 million.
It would go
And the
towards,
answer is yes.
yes,
right?
debt service.
Yeah.
Debt service for the 2014 issue and the planned 2022 issue.
What is it, Dr. Tresca, that makes you very confident that we're going to get the funding?
I think we should hear, I mean, I don't know. I think I've gotten signals that we could hear this week. So, and the message, the most recent message we did receive this week was to review the announcement for architecture and engineering. Typically, that's not happening unless there's funding. So this announcement goes out publicly to, that's the first step, to hire an architect and engineer to move the project forward.
Well, if it's.
And I can say that, yeah, in conversations this week as well, that there is even a harder push on the governor's office to fund other institutions across the state. And our project is a priority in that. I'm sort of dancing around words a little bit, but intentionally so.
Well, if we are that close, how detrimental would it be if we push this off to the next meeting to be sure that we're going to get that?
Well, one of the reasons we're close is because we've committed as an institution to fund that match. And so this is the next step in sort of committing to that.
Isn't there a due date on the tax levy, Mary?
Yes, the tax levy has to be filed by the last Tuesday in December. So I have to have these filed by the 28th.
We have to set this tonight.
Yeah, and part of that strategy, everyone, was that, we were wrapping this together. That was part of the sort of way we framed it last, I think it was last month. The months are sort of blending together now. So
it was last month, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
This really ties us in a knot then. We're almost, we got to do it, I guess, huh? Is that?
Well, that raises a question in my mind. What happens if for whatever reason, we don't need the $8 million?
Yeah.
What happens to the PHS levy, that nickel?
Mary, can you address that?
Well, we have committed the nickel with this action. We're committing it to the project. So we could still take any proceeds from that nickel and put that towards the project directly and not debt service. The reason we were needing it to go towards debt service is because we're going to need to put $6-7 million in a trust account very soon. Yeah. And we can't begin to collect that in 1 year, much less by the time we need to establish the trust.
Wait a minute, we're going to have to put money into a trust account before we even have a commitment from the state of Illinois?
No, once the commitment happens, we have to put the money in a trust within, Mary, help me out, was within 90 days?
It's usually a couple of months. They do not go forward until our trust commitment is there. We have to actually fill out documents, as does the bank, that money is present.
I would prefer to defer this and have a special meeting if we need to fund the requirement that Mary has for December 28th. I think that would be the prudent thing to do.
And that's it. Yeah.
What are
So-
some of the other?
We need
Mary,
this
does that-
tax. Yeah.
Does
we
that,
need the tax covered.
yes, does that paragraph have to be in there? That 8 million, I guess it just explains why we have the 2.4 million
Right, and it names the project.
and we have to name the project.
We have to name the project.
Yeah.
I'm trying to actually disclose as much information as I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I just wondered by law, what we have to.
By law,
say.
we have to name the project.
Mhm.
Have we had to name the projects in the past? I don't remember that
Yes.
being in the levy last year and the year before.
It has been. The paragraph right above it names the projects for the 2014, that the 2014 debt was for.
I think in a meeting before last, Mary, you said that we had funds available that we could use for that.
We have some funds available. We did not have our full match available.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think that's quite accurate that we don't have it available. It's available. It's just that we don't want to reduce our reserves
Right.
that much. Isn't that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think that was the October meeting or the special meeting in October where really, it's my opinion, and I know that Mary and I've talked about this a lot, that we don't want to affect our reserves. Our reserves we have about we have reserves equal to about half of our annual budget. And that's probably where we need to keep it at this point.
If we don't pass this tonight, you're gonna put us in a box. It's a train wreck, because you may not find out that you're gonna get this project until the 27th, the 28th. You have to have notice to have a special meeting. You missed your deadline and you're too late. We have to set the tax levy tonight. We've never set it any later than this. If you put it off, it's a train wreck.
And this is certainly a heavy lift for us. I mean, I think we should all be pretty proud that we've been able to get this far with moving the main complex to a point where we're now reviewing an ad for architecture and engineering. We've committed through several meetings that the college would, contribute the match percentage that's committed or obligated to this project. So, I think I think a signal is sent if we don't, that, okay, are we really in on this, or we're still a little wishy-washy with where the state's at? I mean, certainly there's never a guarantee, but I have gotten no signals that this is not going to happen. If anything, I've gotten more signals than I've expected that it is going to happen. And so, I would respectfully insist that we do consider passing this levy, setting a levy tonight, and continuing to push forward.
I've been hearing the same thing, Dr. Traska. I've been talking to people, I've been pushing and making calls, and I think it's going to happen in the next week or two. I think you're going to get, but I think with all the information you've been getting, they're just getting their ducks in a row. The other thing is that these people have been working nonstop, round the clock since Thanksgiving because of this other attack we had. They don't need to start doing this last minute stuff on the last day of December. We need to pass this now, or we're screwed.
It seems like we could pass it without really any negative repercussions. I mean,
I agree.
If something happens and we don't need that nickel levy, why? We don't really know what happens, but it can't be like we're all going to go to jail or something like that.
And we could use the funds for something else, Mary, right?
Yes.
We could name the project. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that if the project didn't go forward, that we would not have any problem spending the balance of this nickel on the main complex work that we would choose to do.
Right.
We're going
That's
to
what I wanted to
have-
clarify as well, Mary, is that there's enough projects that we could start. Yeah, there's need. We all
We'd
know.
have to redirect, but there's need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like-
I really,
Main complex is what I want to say. Sorry.
I agree with everything you're saying.
Why can't we make the loan in two parts? One for the obligation on December 28th, and then whenever necessary, borrow the other balance.
I'm
Well,
not going to be able to go back and file the levy for a bond issue that we make in the spring as an alternate revenue levy. That's not going to be an option at that point. I
Yeah.
have to file this by December 28th.
I agree. I think we need to pass this resolution 22-6.
This, and my understanding is that this tax levy does not obligate us to borrow any money. It's just saying
No.
that if we do borrow the money, we've got
Right.
a nickel, we've levied a nickel to pay it back,
Right.
to
Right.
service the debt.
Yeah, Kevin, that's a good point. And then I also want Dr. Tresca to go on the record again and say we're not going to borrow any more than this 8 million to renovate the main complex.
Well, I will say that, we will work our best, Julie, to keep within budget, and the intention would be to not go over that $8 million. I
Oh.
mean, the nature of these projects are dynamic, but I don't anticipate us going over. I mean, I'm comfortable committing to that, but with the understanding that, there's so many variables when you're into a $50 million project. But having the experience I have, having done projects, not as big as this, but with pretty broad scope. I mean, we were able to stay in budget or be under budget. So I'm confident with the team we have that we will manage this project diligently and in the best interest of the institution. So hopefully that's a reasonable response, I hope.
Well,
And you couldn't just say, yes, I
Yes or
commit.
no?
Just that simple. Or that's not in your nature. I don't think.
You know me by now. It's not in my nature.
For those
No,
projects,
I'm confident that we'll stay within that scope, Julie. I really am.
we don't even know what the scope is yet.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, and so like I think we talked about this in October a little bit. If we start to get bids back, and these are way beyond what we've set as specs, and we have to go back and before we commit to anything, we'll have to reduce our scope. Do you know what I mean? So we'll have that opportunity there to make the adjustments before we say, hey, we're committing to a project that we thought would be 50 million, but it's coming in at 60 million. That means we have to go back to our drawing board and say, listen, this is our budget. That's it. So it's how sort of stubborn we're going to be with saying this is our budget. And I think we're going to be pretty strict with this is what we've committed to as an institution. It's already, a lot that we're putting our foot forward around. So
And we'll be involved in that decision. It's not like you'll be making that
absolutely.
on your own.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
yeah.
I'm not gonna, absolutely. So we're not going to jump into a project. How's this for a response? We're not going to go into a project that is beyond the budget that we've committed to. And once we commit to a budget and a project, we're going to work very diligently to make sure that we stay within that budget or well below that budget, because that's the expectation, I think, all around. So,
And we will have to set a budget that the board approves per CDB, and any modifications to that budget would require board approval.
right.
And I would add that once things are set at CDB, they don't move easily. So, once we're initially set, that nothing's going to happen without our buy-in.
Right.
Hey, are we ready to vote? Call for the vote.
Oh, sorry. Copeland,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes,
Trent,
Yes.
McCain,
Yes.
Hyen,
Yes,
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes,
Hanfelder.
I'm not happy about it, but I vote yes.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
motion passed. You need a motion for resolution 22-7 abatement series 2014. Have a motion to approve?
motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made. Second. Any discussion? Call for the vote?
Copeland,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes,
McCain,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Hyen,
yes,
Johnson,
Yes.
Hanfelder,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
okay. So that was B, Resolution 22-8 abatement series, motion,
So move.
second,
Second.
any discussion?
Yeah, just maybe Mary can remind us, this is something that we routinely do every year, correct, Mary? I mean, I've looked back in the records and it's something we do. It's kind of an unusual type of bond issue that doesn't, it's different from the other ones, and we just have to move this money around so we can make our principal and interest payments, right?
They're alternate revenue. Yes, they are paid from other sources than the levy itself.
Yeah.
And in some cases, well, such as the 2014, it's the nickel tax levy. In the case of 2015B, it's following through on commitments that were made at the time the bonds were sold.
Now, the 2014 bonds, they're actually going to be paid off during this next year, right?
Yes, yes.
And then, but we will continue to collect that money or and use it to pay the new bonds if we issue new bonds.
That's what yes, that's what I desire. So we keep within the existing tax structure. Yes.
Any other comments? Questions? Call for the vote?
Copeland,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
McCain,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Hyen,
Yes,
Johnson,
Yes.
Hanfelder.
Yes.
motion passed. D, authorization of the college president to engage necessary contractors related to cybersecurity. Motion to
So
approve
moved.
that. Okay, Brenda made the motion. Need a second?
Second.
Second, what, any discussion? I would have a question. See, we were obligated for the, was it 100,000 or what was the, what we're obligated to pay first and then the insurance takes over?
Yes, sir. We have a $100,000 deductible
Okay,
on our insurance policy.
I assume we spent that already.
I would say now with that, I can say yes, sir. We have spent that. I give you a
The
definite
shortest
yes.
answer
there.
ever. That's a record.
Write it down.
Yeah, yes, we have.
All right,
And the work will continue through the break, as we continue to to investigate and understand the nature of everything. So
okay.
At what point, well, I shouldn't say at what point, say at some point, I would hope that we'll get some sort of report, which we probably won't understand, but some sort of report about kind of what happened, what we did, and more importantly, what are we going to do to hopefully prevent it from happening in the future, or at least mitigate the consequences.
yes, there will be a report that will be provided to the board. And as we were all reminded today, due to the sensitivity of the incident and the ongoing investigation at this point, that can't be shared. I know that sounds really strange telling all of you, but that's where we're at. But there will be kind of a timeline and kind of what happened along the timeline, when information was discovered, what we've learned. And then just today, we had a really good call with a group that we're looking at bringing in to provide some additional training, kind of looking at policies, procedures, and other things we can do to sort of heighten our own security at Lewis and Clark. So it's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. It's I know at least myself, Brett, Lori, and Ron will be on calls probably daily through the holiday as well. So
I would imagine that we don't want to say too much at this point because the hacker is out there listening.
Yes, sir.
Wow, 2 short
That's
answers
my
in a
general
row.
response.
We could just maybe set up a hacking division, make some money that way.
This is the way I'll learn to give yes and no answers. No, yes. Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Call for the vote.
Copeland,
Yes.
McCain,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Hyen,
Yes,
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes,
Hanfelder,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
looks like that concludes our business for December meeting. Any other statements from our president? If not,
Yeah, no, I would like to, first of all, wish everyone a very happy holiday season. And I hope everyone stays safe, enjoys a little bit of time away with family and friends. I do also want to, it's kind of strange, introduce our new Vice President for Student Affairs, Katie Adams, who's somewhere on your screen. So if there ever was someone who hit the ground running, that would have been Katie, because she started and then, this incident occurred. But I just want to also extend, just really appreciate the board support, everyone's support, Mr. Ron Wall, Brett, the entire leadership team, executive team, Lori, Laura Inlow. I mean, everybody has just put in unbelievable hours and time and energy in helping navigate through this incident. So I hope everyone gets an opportunity to relax a little bit over the next few weeks. And we look forward to seeing everyone in the new year. So thank you again, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity, David.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Take
Christmas.
care.
Merry Christmas. Meeting adjourned.